السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. وما بعد, جزاكم الله خير. My dear respect brothers and sisters, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide all of us, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us the true path. Inshallah, we're going to continue our series with talking about our journey toward the Yaqeen. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, today we're going to be talking about to continue to talk about patience when it comes to a way to attain more yaqeen. And yesterday or last week we talked about the we started to talk about what is some of the types of ways to attain patience and examples. And today we're going to be talking about, brothers and sisters, the importance of having patience not to commit a sin. Patience on not committing a sin. Brothers and sisters, as we all of us know, that the Jahannam was surrounded by desires, and the heaven was surrounded by things that are not so attractive. But many people, and what happened is once you get close to these desires, what are you going to end up being? You're going to end up being in the hellfire. And once you overpass these unattractive things or these difficult things, you're going to end up into Jannah, or the heavens. And that's why it's important, brothers and sisters, for us to realize that life is not easy. And therefore, in order for us to have an everlasting success in the hereafter, you have to go through some hardship, and you would have to go through some patience. Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he have a commentary on this in the story of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, and he said that the patience of Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam, when he was in front of the wife of Al-Aziz, it's much more difficult. It's much more difficult than his patience when he was thrown into the well. Why? Because when he was thrown in the well, he had no choice. He had no choice. He absolutely had no choice. But once he was in front of that woman, and he had all the desires in the world in front of him, he had a choice. He had a choice to go along with it, or you have the choice to stop and say that I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the choice. And that's the choice that a righteous servant would do when he's given that opportunity to whether to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala versus being patient and step in your desires and to say I'm going to follow my Lord. That's what a righteous believer would do. Brothers and sisters, the issue here is that it's important for us to be patient, not to commit a sin, because we have a lot of barriers that we have to overcome, whether it was the barrier of desire or the barriers of the whispers of the shaitan, and the waivers, the barrier of having bad friends, and etc. And it's important for us what would enable us to overcome all these barriers is our yaqeen, is our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He will reward us if we are patient, or that there is going to be a punishment if we submit to these desires and we submit to these sins. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he narrated to us a very lengthy hadith and a very scary hadith that talks about his experience of what's going to happen in the hereafter. And one time, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asked the Sahaba, "Have any of you had a dream?" No one said no one had a dream. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them the dream he had. He said that two angels came to him, Jibril and Mikael, and told him, "Intaliq, go follow us." So, and he went through several scenes of how several types of people going to be punished in the hereafter. The very first scene, what he saw a man was laid in the ground, and another man with a stone he would throw overhead, and he would crush his head, and then the stone would roll over and then the man who crushed his head, he would go and grab the stone again, and by the time who goes back to throw the same stone on the same man who's laid on the ground, his head is going to come back together. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, who is this person? The angels told him, إن الرجل الذي يأخذ القرآن فيرفضه وينام عن الصلاة المكتوبة. The person who takes the Quran and he rejected and he sleeps on the written salah. He sleeps on the written salah. So subhanallah, when you think about this, and whether you are a person who is sleeping on a salah or neglecting your salah, this is the kind of the punishment I'm going to have. Or someone who have received the Quran, he read the Quran, he memorized the Quran, and then all of a sudden he does the opposite of it. And that's subhanallah. They say al jaza'u min jins al amal, yani your punishment is based on the kind of sins that you commit. Because of the fact that you have rejected the most honorable thing, the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to destroy the most honorable thing in your body, which is your face. Another scene, where a man would come. He said a man would come, and he's laying down on the ground. He's laying down on the ground, and another man would come, and he have a hook, and he would open his mouth, unhook, bring it down, and the top part he would unhook. He would drag it up, and until it would reach his yani his forehead. This is how much he opened his mouth, and then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Who is this man?" He said, "This man, he lies. الرجل يغدو من بيته فيكذب الكذبة تبلغ الآفاق." A man, he would lie about other people until his lie would reach the horizon. And that talks about how the importance of holding your tongue and watching over your tongue and not spreading lies and not spreading, evil things among the people. That's the kind of punishment that you're going to be receiving. Another scene Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us in that he saw he went to an oven or a hole in the ground, and where there are men and women who are naked, and then every time that they would turn on the fire, everybody would run to come out of that hole, and then screaming, and then once the fire would go down, and they would go back. He said, who are these people? These are the people who commit zina. These people who commit zina. Again, just like they were showing off, not caring about who are they sleeping with. They don't care about showing off their bodies. This is the kind of punishment that they should receive. This is the kind of punishment that they should receive. A fourth scene, a man who was swimming in a river, and by the time he's going to come out of the river, a man would throw a stone into his head. Who is this person? A person who eats riba. Even the man who eats riba. So subhanallah, there's several scenes. One time, some of the people asked, is like, why there are no like, why these are the only types of punishments are being mentioned in this hadith? There are many types. Imam al-Karamani, he responded to this, and he said, الحكمة في الاقتصار على ذكر من الذكر من العصاة دون غيرهم أن العقوبة تتعلق بالقول أو الفعل. He said, why possibly the wisdom behind mentioning all these types of punishments and not mentioning other types, because one types of punishment is related to what you say. Another types of punishment is related to what do you do. Another type of punishment is related to what you do with your money. Another types of punishment is what you do with your body. And from that, many examples can be done. The kind of things that people could do with their body, the kind of things that they could do with the people could do with their tongue, the type of things that the people could do with their action, the kind of things that they could do with their money, and etc. So that's because what we are made out of is either things that we do, things that we say, things that we possibly we do to our body, and things that we do with our money, and that's it. And these types of punishment is kind of an example of each one of these types of punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed us what people do with their body when it comes to people who are committing zina. Prophet Muhammad showed us what people would do with their tongue when they spread lies. People who what do they do with with their with their with their with their deeds when they sleep over the salah. People what they do with their money when they are eating riba. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. So that's why, brothers and sisters, it's important for us that yes, these are just examples, but yet there are. This is just a kind of an example of many other things that could possibly facing many people if they do stuff like that. When they misabuse their tongue, or when they misabuse their action, or when they misabuse their body, or misabuse their money, whether somebody is cheating, whether someone is spreading fitna, whether someone is deceiving others, whether someone is sleeping on not necessarily salah, sleeping on doing other important things in their life. So it's important for us, brothers and sisters, to realize these kind of things. And Imam al-Qayyim, he have a saying. He said it's important for a person to compare the two types of punishments and the two types of um, rewards, and you have a choice. What does he mean by that? He said, yeah, you have two types of punishments. Yeah, if you it's either that if you have a punishment in the hereafter, which is the hellfire, or the mini punishment of being patient, not committing a sin. Which one would you choose? Because it's either you choose the little punishment of not committing a sin. It feels hard. It's difficult. That's considered to be a type of hardship, versus the real hardship in the hereafter. Which one do you want? Or which one do you want? Which of the two successes that you want? Or the two rewards: the reward of committing a sin in this dunya, or the greater reward in the hereafter. Which one? And once you have these things right in front of you, it's easy for you to pick. But I would rather suffer the minimum suffering of this dunya of not committing a sin, versus the greater punishment and the greater suffering in the hereafter. I would rather not take the small reward of the desires of following that comes after committing a sin, versus the greater reward in the hereafter. And that's the way someone should be thinking about. And not only come to sin, but also come to the being patient on things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might ordain on you, whether it was a test, whether it was uh, a trial in life. And brothers and sisters, know that all the hardship that happened to us in this dunya it meant to purify us, to make us better individuals, possibly make us better people. And that's why no one can really have the energy to be patient over the trials of this dunya, unless his other eye is looking at the reward that he shall get in the hereafter. So, brothers and sisters, and that's why in al-Qayyim and the scholars, they say that what some of the things would enable you to be patient over the trials or the sufferings that we go through in this dunya, whether it was death, whether it was a test, or whatever happened to you. What's some of the things that know that everything happened out of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? To know that you are just a servant, you are the receiving end, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control. Know for a fact that this is whatever happened to you could be a form of mercy, but you're not realizing this now. Know for a fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just in what happened, in things that happen to you. Once you have all of these things in perspective, brothers and sisters, you would have a better realization that that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control, and He is the one. He is is he does who does everything with the wisdom. Brothers and sisters, the final thing I'm going to say, that yaqeen and sabr come together. Yaqeen, having faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, confirm faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and sabr, they come together. And Abu Darda, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him, he said, the example of yaqeen and sabr is like the example of a farmer who's trying to prepare his land. He would not get, yani if he sat down on one, the other one would not come. What do you mean by that? He said that, yani, what pushes the farmer to keep going? Being patient. Why? Because he's looking at he had yaqeen that one day these fruits will these trees will give fruits. But if he had no sabr, he would not get any. He would lose the reward. He would lose the yaqeen. If he had true yaqeen, he would have sabr. So the two come together. The two come together. If you have true yaqeen, that these trees would fruit, this would give you the energy to have the sabr, the patience for you to keep going, and so forth. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide all of us, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us the right path. جزاكم الله خير لحسن استماعكم. سبحانك وبحمدك نستغفرك ونتوب اليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين يعملون الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.